So hi there everybody. So I've had a lot of questions about the GH5s and my regards to it and if I'm actually thinking of getting one. And honestly, I'm a little bit torn. There are both good things and bad things about that camera. And let's start with the good things. As everybody knows, the stands for sensitivity and we're talking about ISO sensitivity. And it looks like it's all from 1 stop to 3 stops better in low light, depending on which reviewer on YouTube you have seen. But I've seen people saying it's 1 stop better and other people saying it's 3 stops better. The conclusion is that, well, it is better in low light, and that's really nice. But it's quite a big difference if it's 1 or it's 3. I would say probably it's somewhere in the middle. Another good thing about the camera is that it's going to take all the same accessories as the normal GH5. So the battery grip is going to be the same if you already have that. And the XLR1 adapter is also going to work on the GH5s, and that's really nice. So those were the good things. I know that there are more things than that. You have like time code in and stuff like that. But for me, I don't use that stuff. I would love, though, if Panasonic made it possible to sync 2 cameras via Bluetooth, so they were synced before in time code before you take it into software. That would make our lives so much easier, because I use 2 GH5s for interviews. And there are a couple of bad things. Number one is the obvious. The GH5s is a 10 megapixel camera. And me being a hybrid shooter, even though I make most of my money in video, I do love the fact that I can take stills whenever I want to. And I actually do that quite a lot. And I often get to sell the customers that maybe just wanted to have a little bit of video, but then during the same time I did take a few stills. So I really love that feature. And selling 10 megapixel still versus a 20 megapixel still is a little bit of a difference. But with that said, if you're just going to post on the web, 10 megapixels is going to be great. So the biggest problem with the upcoming GH5s, for me at least, is the removing of the Ibis. And I can understand why Panasonic made this choice, because they're actually trying to sell this camera to people who want to mount the camera on cars and vehicles. And there is actually a very nice video from a Swedish crew who tested the GH5s on a scooter, and they at the same time they tested the normal GH5, and we can actually see that there is a difference on how the footage looks like with or without the Ibis. But with that said, I think the market for hybrid shooters and people who actually buy this camera, that market is probably going to want to have the in-body image stabilization more than the need to put it on cars. So I think actually that Panasonic made a big mistake here. For me at least, I'm considering buying the GH5s still, but I haven't make that decision final yet because of the Ibis. If the camera had Ibis, for me it wouldn't even be an issue with the 10 megapixels sensor. I would buy the camera and have it as a B camera. So I think that Panasonic actually dropped the ball here when they didn't include the Ibis. I understand that the sensor is a little bit bigger, so you probably couldn't use the same type of image stabilization as on the GH5 or the G9. But I would much rather have the same size sensor and at the same time have the Ibis, because for what I shoot, I more or less never have the camera on a vehicle where these kind of vibrations come and put the Ibis out of sync. So I haven't decided yet what I'm gonna do, if I'm gonna get it. If it had Ibis, I would definitely get it, because 1 to 2 stops better ISO is great. Some say 3, as I said. But I have to really to think about the lack of Ibis, because I've accustomed to using the Ibis and going handheld and shooting all my videos, even if I have it on a gimbal or I use a rig, it's so nice to have the Ibis because it makes all the footage look sweet. I would like to know what you think about this, and if you have the same issues, please write in the comments or ask me on Instagram. My name there is Arbor, and looking forward to hearing from you. Bye bye.